So Catherine lived this extraordinary life. And I've told you a lot of stuff, she was living on the Eucharist, right? And she was sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night. None of these things I would recommend for any of you guys. And sometimes I think when we hear these stories, she raised the dead, right? She was solving world problems. We're like, I can't identify with that. I'm a 7th grader in Verona, or whatever. I'm a middle schooler in Verona. This doesn't resonate with me. And so I think what we need to understand is that, yeah, she and then we talked about Padre Pio a few weeks ago. She did live this extraordinary life, and she did these extraordinary things, but that was her mission, right? And God has a mission for all of us, and so she found her mission. And our job is to find our mission, because if we don't find our mission goes undone. Okay, so that's what our task is. And most of our missions are going to be pretty normal, right? They're going to be, married or single life. They're going to be being a mother or father. Going to be maybe being a religious. But most people are called to just being in the world and interacting with those around us and bringing those people to Christ in the best way that we can. Now, maybe we're going to have some of these extraordinary experiences. I've seen some pretty cool things, since I've had my eyes open to it. Can't say that I've done any miracles. I've seen miracles, things that I can definitely tell you are definite miracles, but I didn't cause them, right? And it's mostly because I was looking, my eyes were open more to them. So as we grow deeper in our faith, we're more open to that. And that's how Catherine was, right? She, like Padre Pio, remember he would always say, people always tell me, I did all these miracles. He's like, I prayed. I didn't do it. God did it. And that's what Catherine was like too. She's like, I didn't do this. I prayed. God did the miracle. And we always pointed it back to God. And that's what we have to do too. And that's what we realize. Because if I start going, yeah, I did that miracle, then it's about me, right? And then it goes to my head, and that's the sin of pride. So they always point it right back to God. And so what I read this one thing in here because, again, it's like, okay, here's this Catherine. Why should we care about her? She was born in 1347, died in 1380, in a world that have no concept of, and did all these things they have no concept of. But at the beginning of her dialogue, which I'll explain in a second, it says this, and this is in the preface. It says, one reason the dialogue is applicable to you is because you have the fortunate yet challenging experience of living in the current culture. While we have more tangible blessings, more freedoms, and more opportunities to search for truth, we are also besieged with a moral murkiness that seems to worsen with every generation. So what we didn't want to do is we want to take the lessons from her life, how she approached it. Now, do we want to, throw everything out of our room and get a chair and a board and a couple of candles? Probably not practical right now, but we can try to grow in holiness and try and find out what God's mission is for us. And so that's the lesson we need to take away from this. Okay, that's the lesson. I'm going to leave you with 2 quotes that are attributed to her. One of them I bet you've heard. The other one maybe not so much. And the one that you'll hear the most is, "Be who God meant for you to be, and you will set the world on fire." That's what she did, right? But it was through humility. It was through, okay, God, I'll do what you need me to do. And it was through a lot of time in prayer. Okay, so you've probably heard that one before. The ones you may not have heard is, proclaim the truth and don't be silent through fear. So we are called to proclaim God's truth. He wants us to go out there and speak the truth. And this is a really hard time to do that. There's a lot of goofiness going on in the world. Okay? Now, we want to do that. We want to do it with love. We always want to proclaim the truth with love. Right? And that's hard. Because sometimes there are some things that we need to point out to people that are just wrong. And it's hard to go up to somebody and say, you're wrong. But we need to say, look, this is God's truth, and let me walk with you on this, not just pointing out their errors, but offering to walk with them and to show them what the truth is. That's what we're called to do. And that's going to look different for every person you encounter. All right? But that's what God wants to do with you, is he wants you to be that person. That's why you're called here, to learn more about his stuff. That's why you're here tonight to hear this talk, is so that you guys can learn more about him and find out what your mission is and move forward with it. And maybe you will be extraordinary like St. Catherine of Siena.